Hello, my beautiful loved ones. Yes, let's talk about it today, okay? I want to talk about not rectifying or justifying your decision making, right? Especially if it's a bad decision. So we don't want to rectify or justify our bad decision making, right? And if we are justifying it or rectifying it, know that that justification 9 times out of 10 is wrong since the decision came out not so good, right? Right? So the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of us make bad decisions and bad choices, and we have to live with them, right? But as long as we continue to justify them, then we're not learning from the decision that we've made. So important. And I'm saying this because when we make decision making in our mind, right, it comes from the frontal lobe and it's within the limbic system, right? And within the limbic system, we also deal with the thalamus and the hippocampus, right? And all together, one governs emotion, right? One is based off of fight or flight, right? Fight or flight. Some are based off of memories, right? And these all go through an algorithm or a state of processing. Very important. And it's funny because scientists still can't get all the components together to figure out why these decisions come out the way they come out. And the reason why is because they're missing the spiritual aspect of it. Okay? A lot of times people make decisions and say, oh, spirit said this or spirit said that. Or spirit said this or spirit said that, which is not a bad thing. But at some point we have to start questioning the spirits that's talking to us. Right? And if we don't question what's talking to us, then they're governing us, right? We're governed by them. So a lot of people just react to their decisions or react to life instead of creating their life, right? And when you only are governed by a voice that you think is telling you the right thing, now you're outside of your own governing, right? Now it's good if you know the difference, right? Some of us ask questions to say, why are you saying this to me? Because I've been one of those people where I can hear a voice and I'll say, I have to make sure it's the right voice. I no longer go through that. I now understand and know what I'm dealing with at all times. But for people on an early spiritual journey, right? Or any journey in general, because hearing voices is not just a spiritual thing, right? Everybody goes through a process of elimination with hearing a voice, right? Let me go rob that bank. Maybe I shouldn't. Let me go do this. Maybe I shouldn't, right? How you battle with something else within you, right? Because it's still an aspect of you, even if it is outside of you. Let's be honest, right? Because if it wasn't of you in some form or fashion, it wouldn't have came across you in the first place. So then we have to master who we are so we no longer deal with things that does not serve us. That's very important. But let's even go even deeper. The brain, right, is 75 to 85% water, right? Within the water molecules deal with the tetrahedron. Again, going back talking about the pyramid shapes and the forms within the elements. Now, water itself is not just the element. Water is broken up into two other elements, right? Hydrogen, two hydrogens and one oxygen, H2O. Very important that we know this, right? Because water itself has an equation, but oxygen does not, right? And it's one of the biggest elements that there are, right? If I'm not mistaken, what is it? 8 on the eight. I think it's 8 on the periodic table, along with hydrogen, maybe number 1. Because I just love chemistry, y'all. Because I have to tie the universe together. I mean, I love it, right? So with that being said, you take the tetrahedron that's within the molecule, within the shapes, right? Geometric shape, which is the geometric shape, should I say, within the element. Let's correct that, right? But then they also associate the tetrahedron with what? The solar plexus, right? Chakra. Now, the solar plexus is governed by fire, right? So what does this mean? Why is these things so important, right? Because that is the middle of the body, right? Where everything merges and comes together. The lower and the higher begins to begin. That's the midpoint, right? That's the midpoint. And once you be able to learn these things, you'll be able to combat and understand exactly who you are on many different levels, right? So now you understand why programming, right, or reprogramming the mind, consciousness, and subconscious mind is important, right? Because water what holds memory, right? Fire is passion and creativity, right? That spark behind. But if you do not, now let's tie this back into decision making, because now we're talking about decision making. If we do not use this in a correct way and we justify our decisions, now we're going backwards, right? We're letting these other outside things into us, right? Instead of pushing them back, right? Instead of taking accountability for who we are, our actions, understanding why we made these actions, right? And it all plays within the system of the body. See, we can talk about this on a what do we call it? We can talk about this on a non-physical plane, and then we could talk about this on, well, I say metaphysical, right? Or physical plane, because to be honest with you, it both equals out to be the same. Everything I just told you about the geometric shapes is not a spiritual made thing. This thing is literally when you put it under a microscope and you see how the ions and everything come together, right? And the atoms come together, they literally making geometric shapes, right? And they're tied to certain elements for a reason, right? So we have to be able to govern ourselves, understand ourselves on such a finite level and an infinite level, and be able to bring them together, okay? So for those who are not sure of the voices or just react because what spirit says or wants or whatever the case may be more insightful. I'm not saying that what spirit says is wrong, right? Because a lot of us are evolved enough to hear what something says and they can abide by it and understand that it is a great thing that is saying it. But in order to learn and evolve to a higher state, you have to question. Even if you're being told to do something, you question it so you can have insight for yourself, right? Because a lot of us, I've been told certain things and it wasn't accurate. And sometimes I have to sit back and figure out, why wasn't that right? Because at one point, I'm not going to lie, I had a part of my journey starting up, and I swore that anybody who had a spirit and they had some type of gift was dope. I just thought that they were phenomenal, right? But I've come to realize that everybody's spirit isn't of a righteous one. So now you coming into a decision-making process, depending on no matter what the decision made, no matter what memories or emotions are tied to this decision-making, right? Because we even have a organ in our brain that they call it the gut, right? The gut hormone. I mean, not the gut hormone, but they call it the gut. I can't think of it right now, right? But they tie it to the gut, right? And this is why they call the gut a brain, right? Because it has a nervous system built in within inside itself that controls the mind, and they connect to each other. Yeah, gut instinct, just got it, right? It's called the gut instinct, right? So they are tied together, which is also a big part of your decision making. So to know this, to control what you eat, to understand why you're eating, to have such a discipline is so important, right? Because this really governs who you are as a person. And then once you learn this, then you take it to the next step and you become into mastery. And now the majority of your decisions will be right instead of being wrong. Remember, it's okay if you make a bad decision. It's okay. Making a bad decision is not the end all be all, right? It's only the end all be all when you choose to ignore the fact that it had a bad outcome and you don't want to change what happened within the decision that you chose to take. So within that, I love y'all. Peace, blessings, and infinite divine abundance to you. I said, have a beautiful day, but it is nighttime. For me, at least, as of this moment. And I want y'all to enjoy, have safe travels, and as always, I love you.